You have a secret superhero power. Did you know that? You have this power that you most likely are not tapping into. You are not using to the fullest extent of its ability to really give you the life that you desire to live. In fact, it's most likely working against you, like a kryptonite, holding you back from experiencing the personal life and the professional life that you dream of. That's what we're doing over the next 3 podcast episodes. We are going to help you unlock the potential of your superhero power. This is the HaltingWinter podcast. I'm your host, Seth Winterhalter. Thanks for joining us. You can follow along Seth Winterhalter on all social media platforms, HaltingWinter, again on the old Instagrams, Facebook, wherever it is, LinkedIn. You can also go to SethWinterhalter.com, check out my personal page, go to HaltingWinter.com. HaltingWinter is the coaching business that I own and I lead. We help business owners and leaders unlock their own potential as well as the potential of their businesses so they can experience sustained growth year after year. Here's what I do. I will help you 2x your revenue and 10x your life. If that sounds interesting to you, go to HaltingWinter.com, schedule a call with me, and let's chat. In fact, I would love to ask you 3 specific questions that I think the answers will unlock immediate growth for you and your business. Well, let's go and let's dive into the topic today. We want to unlock the potential of your superhero power. This 3-part series, we're going to walk through the 3 different aspects. And again, there's no secret here. I don't have any secrets. Here's the secret. Here, there's no magic secret. Here it is. The superhero power is rest. How are you resting? How are you refreshing? How are you rejuvenating? And I want to look at 3 different aspects. Today, we're going to look at the rest in your day. Every day you need rest. The second episode, we're going to look at your weekend. How are you maximizing your weekend for both rest and rejuvenation, for refreshment? Then finally, I want to talk in the last episode about your extended time away from work, right? It's summertime. We're about to go on summer vacations. I want to encourage you. Are you thinking strategically, and not strategically, like I got to make this a project, like are you thinking in a way that's actually helping you get the most out of that time away? What's the biggest quote that you'll hear people that go on vacation? They come back from vacation, and what do they say? They say, I need a vacation from my vacation. That is not healthy. That is not, we've missed the entire point of vacation. So I hope that this podcast series, these 3 parts, would help you maximize your superhero power in your day, in your weekend, and in your extended time away from work. How do we rest? How do we refresh? How do we rejuvenate ourselves so that we can hit the ground rocking and rolling, that our personal life would be more vibrant even than our professional life, so that our professional life can experience vibrancy, health, and sustained growth. Okay, let's dive into today's topic, your day. How do you get the most out of rest and refreshment in a day? Well, you probably know this, that the number one form of torture sounds extreme, the number one way to exact pressure on someone is to deprive them of sleep. It's the number one way to coerce someone into something. Just deprive them of sleep, right? You can deprive people of hunger. You can deprive people of, what does it say? 3 days. The human body on average it can only go 3 days without water. Here's the thing. You take me 3 days without sleep, and it doesn't matter how much water you give me. I'm a crazy person. I am not myself with 3 days of sleep, or with 3 days without sleep. Like you give me, at my age, you give me 1 day without sleep, and I'm a hot mess. I need like 3, 4, 5 days just to recover from one really bad night of sleep. So we need sleep. Like you've heard the commercial, right? The Snickers commercial. You're not you when you're hungry. Well, trust me, you're not you at all when you don't get adequate sleep. Especially the older you get, the worse it gets. We need sleep. This is when the body does things during sleep. That's when you build muscle. If you're into the gym and into working out. That's when you recover. That's when muscles actually recover. Your body recovers. The most healing that happens in your body is during your sleep. This is why when you're sick, what do? Are you getting sleep, right? Fluids and sleep. You need sleep, and you need good sleep, deep sleep, sleep that allows you to recover and rejuvenate and refresh and restore to peak physical condition. We need sleep, but we need more than sleep. We need rest. And I want to encourage you, yes, you need to really look at your sleep. Are you getting the right amount of sleep? I've switched from saying enough sleep to the right amount, because here's the thing. I think some people are oversleeping. And when you oversleep, you do just as much damage as you undersleep. It is not healthy to oversleep. You become just that sloggy feeling. This is where you think you need coffee in the morning to stimulate you. It's because you have overslept. You've put yourself into a position of just lethargy and laziness. So make sure you don't oversleep. Are you getting the right amount of sleep? And I'll encourage you, test yourself. Do you need 8 hours? Do you need 7.5? Do you need 7? I know now, and this changes maybe in your age as well. I know now 7 is my number. Like, I sleep basically. I'm in bed around 10:30. I'm asleep usually by 11, and I'm up at 6. I'm probably up at 5:30. That's when my body wakes up, but I'm at least out of bed by 6. And so I know 7 hours, maybe even 6.5 is my number. So, like, what is your body's natural rhythms? When is it naturally falling asleep? When is it naturally getting up? Do you know that? Do you know how much sleep your body needs? But here's the other thing I want you to think about. When you wake up out of sleep, when you're coming out of sleep and out of shutdown, what's your morning ritual? And there's a lot of talk about this. I ice bath, I blah, 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 blah. Great. Again, figure out what you want to do, but just be careful. You don't feel the pressure of doing what some yoked dude who's probably on steroids is telling you to do, which he actually never does. This is like, if you've ever read, there's what book is it? I own it somewhere in my library. It's something about Benjamin Franklin and morning routines, and Benjamin Franklin goes through his daily routine, and it is widely known through other books that talk about other people at the time of Benjamin Franklin that talk about him, that he never lived up to that. He never did that once in his life. Like, it was all aspirational. And so just be careful in the day of social media where a lot of people are telling you how awesome they are, that you don't get caught up thinking, I've got to do this because this is what they're actually doing. Maybe, probably not. And if they are doing it, I bet you they're not very consistent with it. So just, again, if an ice bath works for you and that rejuvenates you and it wakes you up and you just feel so good and motivated to conquer the day, awesome. That sounds like a great tool. If instead grabbing a cup of coffee and sitting down on the couch and doing Wordle, if that invigorates and starts your morning just with pleasantness, and awesome. Do that. I think there are some things we can think about. Like, the key is that it's not rushed. I think the more you rush, the more you try to stay in bed as long as you can, and then now everything is a rush, and everything is stress, and everything is anxiety, and then you get in the car and you drive to work, if you still do that, and now there's traffic, and now you're more stressed, and that just does not sound like that doesn't sound like you're doing anything with that rest. It sounds like that rest now is into chaos. And so how can you set up your morning so that it has enough time? Again, these people who are like, I have to have 3 hours in my morning to do all my weirdness. Like, who has that? And if you have that, awesome. I don't think you need that. I do think, though, that whatever you plan needs to be at least in a time frame that it's not rushed and that it can be enjoyed. You should start your morning with some enjoyability that will frame the day. So whether you do a gratitude journal, whether you do yoga, whether you do Wordle, is it enjoyable to you? Or are you doing it because you feel the pressure because someone else said this is the way to maximize your day? Just be careful with that. Like, you have to figure out what that looks like for you. And you have to figure out what that looks like in a particular season of life. Your summer rhythms. Like, I know I used to live in Seattle, and so our winters were so dark. I mean, it wouldn't get light until 8:30 in the morning. It would get dark at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and to me, that was just so hard. It was so hard to get motivated when you wake up and it's pitch black dark out. I love living in California where it's more consistent. It's light in the morning, and when I get up at 6, it's light out. It gets dark every night around 8 p.m. The sun goes down. It just feels more rhythmic. It feels more, every day has a similarity to it, and I like that. I like rhythms. Some people, they want different. Great. Know you, figure out you, and then you can figure out how to actually thrive in the environment that fits you best. So just be mindful of that. Be mindful of your wake up. Be mindful of your shutdown. When you come home after work, what does that look like? And this is one of the things where, we don't have a ton of time. I want to keep these episodes short. This is one of the things I want you to think about when you work from home. I used to, for decades, went into an office, worked in that office, came home from that office, right? And so I had these clear delineations. Now, one of my office is in my house. So all throughout the day, I'm in my home environment and my work environment. And I don't know if that's the healthiest thing. I think, I will say this. It makes it much more difficult. There are benefits to it, obviously, but there are also some drawbacks. And you have to be aware of that, right? I'm sure that's the same thing going to work in an office. There's benefits and there's drawbacks. But be mindful that there are drawbacks, and then be intentional about, okay, what does it look like for me to shut off work then? I think it's even that much more difficult to shut off work when you can jump into your office at home. And right, I know it is for me. I'll jump in at night, 7 p.m. Okay, what's going on? Let me check the emails again. Let me do some work. Let me massage my business. You got to be careful. You got to be careful that there's some shutdown time, some turn off time, and maybe from 5 to 7 you shut down and totally away, and then you come back and do some touch points for 20 minutes, and then you shut down again. I don't know. Again, I think anything with hard, firm boundaries is, you've got to ask yourself, you create hard, firm boundaries for yourself because of X. I think if you're listening to someone and they're saying you have to create these hard, firm boundaries, that I always get uncomfortable with that, because I think that you're telling me to live your story. You're telling me what works for you, and now imposing that upon me, which is not objective truth. There is no objective truth with any schedule, any rhythm. There is context, and there is purpose, and there's so many variables that go into it, and you got to figure out what works for you. So what is going to be, though, your after work shutdown? How are you going to switch from your profession to your person so that you can begin to rest, to rejuvenate, to renew? What is that? They have the quote that if you work with your hands, how might you rest with your mind? If you work with your minds, a lot of us are on computer screens working with our minds. How can we maybe rest with our hands? How might you tinker with something? Maybe there's woodworking, or little people paint, the little army guys and set up their little train tables of weirdness, whatever it is for you. Well, how can you enjoy, some people fish, whatever that looks like, craft, etc., etc. What's enjoyable? How can you have some things in your night? That doesn't mean the whole night's got to be that either. But I do think I get concerned when you transition from work just straight to TV and into veg mode. Again, there could be an aspect of that that's really good. You just relaxing on the couch and enjoying time by yourself or with your friends or spouse. Again, there's probably more elements to that than just Netflix. But be careful. Assess and ask yourself, is this really resting and rejuvenating to me, or am I just like in a bad routine? Some of your rest right now just might be poor routines that could be better, that could be more restful. So that's what I want you to think about and ask yourself, what is my wake-up routine best for me? Is it rejuvenating? Is it allowing the rest that I got to now move in to the delight of my day, into the things that I get to give my life to professionally? What does that look like after work, when I come home from work and I rest and rejuvenate? in some active things and then prepare myself for sleep. What is my sleep routine? What does my bedtime routine look like? Am I going to bed at the same time? Do I have some of the same rhythms that are helping slow down my body and prepare it, right? Maybe that, whatever that is. I read, I brush my teeth and wash my face. It doesn't have to be long either. It can just be these things. I just think that routines and rhythms help prepare us. They help transition us into this next thing. I transition from work into connection with the people that I love. I transition into rest, and I put the kids down. That's a transition point, and then I wash my face and I put my comfy clothes on and I snuggle with my spouse on the couch while we watch a show, and then I go into the bathroom and I wash my face, or brush my teeth, and then I drink my quarter of a cup of water and I lay down. And I don't know, what does it look like for you? Have you ever assessed that? And the more I think you assess it and it's a good routine, the more that routine will actually help you get the most out of those elements. So chew on that, right? Test, assess. How are you getting the most out of your day? How are you preparing yourself? Are you getting restful sleep? But maybe if you're not, the key is, how am I going into sleep and how am I coming out of sleep? And are those rhythms and routines healthy? How are you maximizing your day to use the superpower of rest and rejuvenation and refreshment to actually live? Again, that doesn't mean your life's going to be perfect. It does mean that your life will probably be more enjoyable. And that, I think, is the key. How do we make life enjoyable? How do we live with more enjoyability instead of the pressure to make everything awesome? Everything will not be awesome. It's just impossible. That's not the way life works. But more of it can be enjoyable, I think, if you take ownership over it, if you assess it and actually do things that would set things up for more enjoyability. So let's sleep well, let's wake well, let's shut down after our workday well to go in to this pattern of rest and renewal. Tune in next time. We're going to look at the weekend. How do we maximize the most out of our weekends? Maybe there's some things I think that we do that sabotage, that are the kryptonite of our weekends, the way we approach it and the way we slam into Monday again. So tune in next time. If you want to maximize your life and experience more joy, less stress, I would love to book a call with you. A 15-minute call. I'm going to ask you 3 specific questions, and I promise they are going to give you insight into how to maximize your personal life and your professional life. So if that's of interest to you, click on the link in the show notes. I would love to chat with you and see if we might, if I can help you, first of all, just get some momentum and growth, but if we might work together, if we might help you become a better, more effective business leader and business owner. Thanks for tuning in to the HaltingWinter podcast. Until next time.